This morning we're talking a little bit about your journey, your Christian journey. Tell us about how you grew up.
My Christian journey started when I was born into a Christian family, and went to church my whole life. Went to a really good church. It was really well structured. Got really loving mum and dad. But I guess through that time, not everything was roses or beers and skittles, so to speak. Got challenged a fair bit in my childhood, and growing up in a church that was really structured, there wasn't a lot of room for asking questions outside the box.
So through that time, how did you sort of see God? What was he like, or how did you picture him, if you sort of mean?
God to me was a bit like a dictator. He was a big scary guy that seemed to be in control, or was meant to be in control, and I didn't experience a loving God at all. I didn't know what that looked like.
So what did that sort of, that perception of God, how did that make you feel about yourself? What was your thinking, or perhaps your identity like, maybe because of that?
Yeah, my identity was probably a bit mixed up, because I didn't feel like the son of a God the Father. I felt more like, not a victim as such, but I guess a person that was controlled by something rather than something that loved so much that he wanted the best for you.
So you didn't sort of have an understanding of God the Father as truly like a loving father to you?
No, not at all.
It's more like a boss type.
A boss type of thing, and he was the guy that made all the rules up in the in the Old Testament, and it was my job to try and follow them as best as I could, which, as we all know, is almost impossible.
And your actual dad, he was perhaps, was he a little bit like that?
Yeah, my dad modelled that, because that's all he knew as well. So he modelled very much a dictatorship kind of relationship. Loved me immensely, and still does, but I guess the way he loved me is different to the way I try and love my boys. But it was more about rules and regulations, and if you did this and this, you got that. So it wasn't a love-driven relationship. It was more about doing good things.
So coming forward a little bit, you came to New Directions in about 2002, I think.
Yes.
Through that journey and through some courses that you've done over that time, what's perhaps changed a little bit in your thinking about yourself and how you see God?
Yes, heaps of my thinking's been changed. Some of it's been quite difficult. Because I guess when you've grown up with that, you've got 20 odd years of experience in it, so you become quite good at it. But I started to realise that some of my thinking wasn't right, and I needed to find a way to understand why I thought the way I did, because I couldn't change the way I thought, because I had no understanding of what it looked like outside of what I was thinking. So one of the courses I did was Search for Life. And that's a course that basically breaks down into bite-sized chunks, I guess part of your childhood, but it also paints a completely different picture of who God is and what God the Father actually does for you.
I think one of the teachings in there is to take away that sort of thinking that God is sort of judge or boss over you, isn't it? Yeah. But to be more seen as a loving Father.
Yeah, and coming to grips with that, coming to understand it, meant for me that I had a God the Father that loved me unconditionally, and that he had like a purpose for me, and he'd given me an identity as a child, but it's just that I kind of got that a little bit mixed up. So coming to discover that for me was really, really freeing. I mean, I can't really describe what it feels like, because you kind of gone from this extreme to that extreme. And it's a totally freeing feeling. But knowing that I've got a God that loves me, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter how much I stuff up, he's still there every day, and he just wants you to come to him and ask for help.
I suppose that verse about being transformed by the renewing of your mind speaks really about your journey there.
Yeah, totally. As I said before, I mean, some of my thinking wasn't quite right. And the only way really to get that thinking right was to go back to him and say, well, which bit of me needs to change, and how can I change? And that's the great thing with these courses, the Life Keys courses. are designed to help people through that process, because it is a journey. It's not something that can happen. It does happen for some people overnight, but I guess for the majority of us, it's almost like a teaching thing where you've got to be retaught some of the bad habits that you've picked up along the way.
Yeah, so coming forward to this term, you're actually facilitating with Alex Search for Life, but for men, this group. So what do you think doing this course could bring men as a group together?
Yeah, I mean, a number of things. One is, I guess, safety and security, because as men we do struggle to share our emotions, we do struggle to share how we feel about stuff. And I think having just a men's only group is really good, because we're all pretty much on the same sort of level, and you don't need to worry too much about what someone else is thinking. So you can be yourself, and that's something that I really encourage through any of my groups, is to be yourself, because I think that's probably one of the biggest keys. If you can't be yourself and you're hiding behind this mask, you'll never become the person God created you to be. So that's one aspect. The second one is they're fairly small groups. We try and keep them topped at probably around about 8 participants all up. So it's a good arena to get used to sharing with other people at a deeper level, and also you get to know people. I've done several different courses over the years, and the mateship I've developed through those courses, because you're not just scratching the surface, you're actually talking stuff that's a lot deeper. So the friendship side of things is really valuable as well.